Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living. So glad that you are here on this absolutely gorgeous day. I know there's a number of people that are out in the courtyard area that are kind of hoping that we are going to go out there. While all of you that are at home that have so graciously invited us into your home this morning perhaps wishes we'd stay here, because if we don't stay here, you won't have anything to watch. I'm glad and grateful for all of you being here this morning. Thank you very much. Is there anyone that's here for the very first time this morning? Hi. Hi, welcome. We won't make you do anything in particular. You've already done all you had to do. Now I'm going to do the rest. Because I'm going to tell you that my name is Reverend Dusty Ripplemeyer, and I have the awesome privilege of being the spiritual director of this amazing community. We are a community of which fall under a bigger umbrella of about 750 centers for spiritual living all over the world. We are part of New Thought. And it just simply means that, we kind of think a new thought about God, a new thought about ourselves, a new thought about the way life works. And we believe that there's one God and that God is within us and surrounding us. It's a benevolent God, a God that loves us. We do not believe in original sin. We believe that we are all born innocents, that we arrived innocent, and that we are simply here as divine emanations of God, that we are God's ambassadors on the planet, and that we get to be its presence in all of the arenas of our lives. And so we come here together many times during the week, yes? Many times during the week to celebrate that fact, to celebrate God, to celebrate life, and to celebrate each other, and to do it together in community, because it's way more fun to do it that way. So I'm really grateful for your being here.
Our reading today is from a very special gentleman called Neale Donald Walsch. He says, relationships are the most important experience of our lives. Would you agree? Without it, we are nothing. Literally. That is because in the absence of anything else, we are not. Fortunately, there is not a one of us who does not have a relationship. Indeed, all of us are in relationships with everything and everyone, all of the time. We have a relationship with ourselves. We have a relationship with our family. We have a relationship with our environment. We have a relationship with our work. We have a relationship with each other. In fact, everything that we know and experience about ourselves, we understand within the context that is created by our relationships. For this reason, relationships are sacred. All relationships. And somewhere within the deep reaches of our heart and soul, we know this. This is why we yearn so for relationships, and for relationships of meaning. Once we understand the sacred place that relationships hold in the experience of all of us, we hold the experience of relationship as sacred indeed, not just in thought, not just in words, but in deeds. And the deeds we do around relationships begin to drastically change. And so it is.
All right, welcome to those of you who may have just arrived in the sanctuary. The theme for the month of October is We Are All Connected. My talk title today is The Perfect Relationship. Now, as I began to sit with this idea of the perfect relationship, I immediately thought about all of the different relationships that we have in our lives. For example, our relationship with ourselves, with our careers, with our money, with our time, with our bodies, and with ourselves. We could also include our relationships with compassion, with joy, with understanding, with peace, with abundance, and with love. Each one of them is important to the experience of our lives. Now, if you've ever read anything by Marianne Williamson, you would know that she says that relationships, just like Neil Donald Walsh said in the reading, but that she believes relationships are central to our spiritual enlightenment. And that in order for that to happen, we must completely restructure our thinking about them. That we must relinquish our current mode of relating to ourselves, to time, to abundance, to each other, and even to God. So let's begin with time. Now, while some people would say that time doesn't exist, except as some psychological construct or a social convention, but our experience of time in our everyday lives feels very real, right? So our human selves experience time as one of three great domains: past, present, and future. Now, our experience of our lives is greatly affected by our relationship with each one of these different domains. In order to step into a perfect relationship with the past, we are encouraged to let go of our regrets about missed opportunities, to let go of dwelling on prior wounds and on situations, and to let go of ruminating over and over again about what he or she said or didn't say or do. We are required by this perfect relationship to let go of our stranglehold on the old conditioning that we received and on our attitudes, beliefs, and habits that were created out of that conditioning. It also asks us to let go of our past glories so that we can move beyond them. Stepping into this perfect relationship with the past means that we consciously mine our past experiences, to be able to discover the wisdom that is there within those experiences. And then to allow that wisdom, the wisdom of our past experience, inform our current choices, the current choices that we are making daily in all arenas of our lives. Now, in order to step into a perfect relationship with the future, we are encouraged to let go of our worries about what is going to happen some future time in some imaginary situation, right? It's a future time and an imaginary situation, and we have a whole lot of worries about it. And we are being asked by this perfect relationship with the future to let go of that. It asks us to let go of all of the things that we think could go wrong, to stop holding ourselves back from taking action in the moment. It requires us to stop hurrying to get somewhere, to complete some task, or to become someone other than who we are. It asks us to stop living in expectation, waiting and hoping for some time in the future when all of our desires will have come true. In order to step into a perfect relationship with the future, the invitation is to create a better future by what we are doing right now, by creating our current conditions so that future events in our individual and collective lives will flow in the direction that we want them to flow. We are asked to listen for and to our inner intuition, to that which is seeking to be expressed through us, and then to act accordingly. It means choosing to be our highest and best self, and then living into the future from that space, living into the future from that context, the context of our highest and best self. In order to step into a perfect relationship with the present, encouraged to stop sleepwalking through life, to become awake to both our inner and our outer lives. It asks us not to fear or to reject what is happening, or to let our emotions, whatever emotions that we are experiencing in the moment, to hijack the truth of who we are, or to rule the moment, to take us down some place that we don't need to go. It requires us not to allow ourselves to be carried along unconsciously down some stream of thoughts that we're thinking. Being present in the moment. In order to step into a perfect relationship with the present, the invitation is to stay present in each and every single moment. To keep our minds and our hearts open to love and to life itself. It means listening with discernment to the people that are around us, or to the situations that we find ourselves within, and then responding with an awareness of the truth of who we are. It means being here, right now, and nowhere else. The fundamental truth is that the quality of our presence defines each and every moment, and that we are going to, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, create the experiences of our lives depending upon the quality of our presence. So it is that important. Now, you don't have to out you or anything this morning, but you laugh. It's not an easy thing to do. How many of you here this morning have ever heard themselves speak about time from a space of lack and limitation? It might have sounded, I did get some hands. It might sound something like this. Oh, I just don't have enough time. There's not enough hours in the day to get everything done that I need to do. There's just no way that I have enough time to complete everything. Sound familiar? Now, I really don't think that this is really about time. But I think it is more about our relationship with abundance. And it shows up in many different ways, in all different arenas of our life, from time to money to love to resources to education to beauty or to self-worth, to name just a few. We believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but we believe that we could, or actually should, have more of all of those things. The interesting thing, the funny thing, is that we believe that, and so we're always on the hunt for something that we actually think is scarce. Do you hear me? Neale Donald Walsch says, there are many things that all of us want. Yet the greatest irony of life is that what all of us want, all of us have. We have an abundance of that which we wish we have an abundance of. You may not believe this is true for you or for others that you observe or know, but it is true. And it is only our thought about it not being true that makes it seem true in our experience. Breathe that in for just a moment. So, this belief in lack and limitation is highly conditioned. It lives in race consciousness, deeply lives in race consciousness as the truth, but it is not the truth. The truth is that God is the presence of abundance itself, and since everything and everyone was created by God, out of God, in God's image and likeness, then right where we are, individually and collectively, God is as the presence of abundance. It is that simple. Really, it is that simple. Right where we are is unlimited possibility and potential potential, simply just waiting there for us to get into alignment with it. In order to step into a perfect relationship with abundance, we are encouraged to let loose our delusion of lack and limitation, to turn away from any conditions or circumstances or situations that speak to something other than that truth. We step into a perfect relationship with abundance when we remember that we are divine emanations of God, imbued with the abundance of God itself. We live in a universe whose nature is to give. Now, in order to get into a perfect relationship with abundance, we are asked to focus our attention on the abundance that we already have, knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt that when we turn our attention to that abundance, that we draw more abundance to us. We are also asked to stand in gratitude and appreciation for that abundance, knowing that gratitude and appreciation are generative, that what we appreciate appreciates. This perfect relationship with abundance requires us to pay attention to our thoughts and our beliefs, knowing that our thoughts and our beliefs create the experiences of our lives. Stepping into this perfect relationship with abundance requires that we see beyond the circumstances, that we see beyond the circumstances to the spiritual truth that abundance is the truth, that abundance is everywhere at all times. The invitation is to let go of the thoughts and the beliefs that we have, that we speak, that do not serve this truth. When it comes to our relationships with each other, our relationships are often created out of a belief in separation or out of a belief in lack and limitation, that we are not enough. Now, all of those beliefs have actually created relationships that really have very little to do with being perfect. When it comes to our relationships with each other, the perfect relationship is based upon equality. That love is the unity that comes from seeing ourselves in someone else and seeing someone else in ourselves. We are all different expressions of one underlying being and are therefore of equal value. There is not one person who is any more special or of any more value than anyone else. We are all valued equally. And if we are truly in a perfect relationship, then we would all love everyone unconditionally. That doesn't always mean we have to like their behavior or their choices, but to be able to see the face of God in each and every person and to be able to love that person unconditionally. In a perfect relationship, we would recognize that we are 100% responsible for the relationship. Not 50 and 50, but 100% responsible, each of us. Each person knows that they are responsible for their own experience, that they create their own reality. Now, even in a perfect relationship, there's some discord from time to time. When we recognize that we are 100% responsible, then we will ask ourselves the question of what could we possibly be contributing to that discord? The invitation is that before we begin to right away blame the other person, that we look into our hearts to become aware of what we might think or say or do differently in order to shift the dynamics of the relationship. Seeing others as mirrors of ourselves empowers us to change someone that we have some control over, rather than being frustrated because of our inability to change somebody else. That's ourselves, in case you were unsure. Speaking of change, the perfect relationship has room for change. We are constantly changing, and two individuals will not necessarily change in the same way or at the same pace. The invitation is to look for ways that the relationship can accommodate or even celebrate the inevitable changes while seeking to maintain the connection and the commitment that actually transcends that field of change. In a perfect relationship, the past is left in the past. Bringing the past into the present only enlarges or escalates the conflict, but it never really assists us to get what we want to get. The invitation is to make a commitment to step into a deeper sense of forgiveness and not bring the past into the present by bringing up old transgressions when dealing with current issues. Within the perfect relationship with another, each person chooses being happy over being right. The invitation is to let loose. You're all laughing. I'm serious. The invitation is to let go. I'm right about this. The invitation is to let go of our attachment to being right. When we engage in a win-lose orientation, there will be times when we experience the exhilaration of winning the argument as well as the temporary frustration of losing. However, neither winning nor losing translates into loving. Neither of them. The alternative is to look beyond the obvious differences and to seek some common ground. To take a small step in the direction of the other person's position and then ask for a similar level of compromise from the other person. The perfect relationship is nurtured with attention, affection, appreciation, generosity, kindness, and time. The bottom line is that whatever we place our attention upon grows stronger in our lives. So, therefore, if we want to create a perfect relationship, if we want for our relationships to thrive, then we must be willing to nurture them with attention, affection, appreciation, generosity, kindness, and time. We must be that which we seek. We must. The perfect relationship has open and honest lines of communication with no expectation of behaviors, emotions, or reactions. Maybe I should say that again. No expectation of any particular behavior, emotion, or reaction. Within it, we do not have to hide ourselves, our fears, or our shadow sides, or our needs, or our weaknesses from each other, because each person understands that the relationship is a context for healing through mutual forgiveness. This context allows for each person to own their own voice and to speak their own truths about whatever comes up with honesty and with authenticity. This includes really hearing what the other person needs, or really being open to what the other person has to say and being willing to negotiate. The invitation is to allow the relationship to evolve through the lens of unconditional love. Now, in order for this to actually occur, we first need to look at our most important relationship, the relationship with ourselves, both ourselves with a small s and also ourselves with a capital S, that presence of the God within. In order to step into a relationship with ourselves, it means that we no longer hold any belief that to take care of ourselves means that we're selfish. This perfect relationship requires us to understand that relationships with other people will only ever be as good as our relationship is with ourselves. To step into a perfect relationship with ourselves requires that we let go of any and all negative self-talk, any and all judgments about who we are and about the way that we are living our lives, and let go of any and all underlying beliefs that no longer serve our highest and best selves. It asks us to turn away from the thoughts, the beliefs, and the criticisms of other people and to powerfully stand in our own truth. Yeah. In order to step into a perfect relationship with ourselves, we have to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that who we are is a divine emanation of God. This perfect relationship asks us to honor that truth and to accept the whole of us, all of our strengths and all of our weaknesses, and to love ourselves as God loves us. It asks us to remember that as divine emanations of God, we are already whole, perfect, and complete. Many years ago, I came across a personal ad from God written by David Alt, Reverend David Alt. I'm dusting it off today because I believe that it invites us into the possibility of the most important, perfect relationship there is. The ad says, "Long walks on the beach are fine, but I'm willing to go anywhere with you. To your job, to the supermarket, to babysit your grandkids. Am content to tag along with you as you do the laundry, file your taxes, or keep your chemotherapy appointment. Any ethnicity will do. I do not care. I feel we are all the same anyway. Your economic background does not in any way influence my desire to be with you. Am well-traveled, been everywhere, literally, and would be happy to share those adventures with you if you would like. I have an ability to see beyond surface conditions and am not influenced by the opinions of others. Therefore, I am readily and willing to accept your physical body just as it is and just as it is not, and even love and appreciate it. Hopefully, I can guide you to do the same. Of course, I would love it if you would acknowledge my handiwork from time to time. I'm pretty great in the creative department, and I will neither judge you nor abandon you if you get too busy to notice. I am keenly aware of your creativity also. Any hesitancy or fear that you have concerning the expression of it, well, I can help you with that if you'd like. I am not at all threatened by your growth or your success. In fact, I thrive on it. I am your biggest cheerleader. I do not care about your past. When I say not care, it does not mean I fail to honor your journey and all of the things that you have accomplished. I am simply not interested in your mistakes, be they extensive or small. What I am saying with all of this is that I am looking for a long-term relationship and yet totally willing to go at the pace and level that you are comfortable with. I am available 24/7, and my support and belief in you knows no boundaries, no restrictions. Give the two of us a shot. I guarantee you will not regret it. So today I invite you to go deep and to do the inner work that is necessary to create amazing, conscious, perfect relationships with everything and everyone. Begin with the most important relationship there is, that between you and the God within. And from that place, everything else, all other relationships will unfold perfectly. And so it is. So I just invite us to turn within. To allow ourselves to turn away from the world of form and to turn our attention inward to the space and place that I call God. A God that I know is benevolent, eternal, everywhere at all times, an energy with no circumference and points of center everywhere. I know that I am one of those points. And just as I know that this is my truth, I know that it is true for each and every single person here this morning. Each of us is a unique and divine expression of the divine. And it is from that place of unity that I speak these words about and for each of us this morning, truly knowing that we are spiritual beings having a human incarnation, and that when we arrived on the planet, we arrived with everything that we need to create an amazing life, to create perfect relationships with everything and everyone. I know that as we stand firmly grounded in our awareness of the truth of who we are as divine emanations of God, that our relationships unfold perfectly with ease and with grace. That we make the decisions that we need to make freely, joyfully. I know that these perfect relationships in all arenas of our lives allow us to create the experiences of our lives from a deeply rooted place, from a deeply grounded place, from a deeply aware space, knowing that who we are as divine emanations of God we can never be separate from. That we are one with God and one with each other. And so I claim for each of us that there is ease and grace around this idea of perfect relationships. That they all show up for us differently. Knowing what we know and saying yes to what we say yes to. Yes to being a space of abundance. Yes to being a space of love. Yes to being a space of deep and abiding connection. And I'm so grateful to know this truth and to speak these words. So grateful for the power of prayer, knowing that these words are loosed into a law that only ever says yes, that my words are clothed in form even as they are spoken. And so I speak them and release them with love and with gratitude. Just letting God be God. And I invite each of us to anchor this prayer for ourselves and for each other simply by saying, and so it is. Amen. Amen. Thank you, everyone.